All right, what's up guys? And today we're doing something a little different. We're not unboxing the latest and greatest, but instead we're taking a look back, way back in tech years anyway, to the Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra 5G. This phone dropped way back in January 2021. Now the S21 Ultra was the top dog in Samsung's lineup back then. It had the biggest screen, the biggest battery, and a camera system that was genuinely groundbreaking, especially with that crazy 100x space zoom. And yeah, it was the first S-series phone to officially play nice with the S Pen, even if it wasn't built in. Launched at a cool $180, this thing was a serious investment. I've had a bit of a history with this phone. You guys know I get my hands on pretty much everything for review purposes. I remember the initial hype around that camera. Everyone wanted to see if that space zoom was actually usable, and honestly, it was surprisingly capable for what it was. But the real question we're tackling today on the year 2025 is, does this phone still hold up? Is it still worth even considering? Let's dive in. First off, the design. Even now in 2025, I gotta say the S21 Ultra still looks pretty slick. That contour cut camera housing where it just melts into the frame was a really unique design choice, and it still stands out. The matte back is a lifesaver for fingerprints, and even though we're seeing more flat designs lately, the curved edges still feel really comfortable in the hand. Plus, it's got that IP68 water and dust resistance, which is always a plus. The display, still fantastic. That 6.8-inch dynamic AMOLED 2X panel with its QHD plus resolution and 20Hz adaptive refresh rate is just gorgeous. Colors pop, scrolling is smooth, and even outdoors it gets plenty bright. Sure, newer tech like LTPO might be a bit more efficient, but honestly, for everyday use, you're still going to be really happy with this screen. Now let's talk performance. Back in the day, it had either the Exynos 2100 or Snapdragon 888, depending on where you lived. For basic stuff, browse, social media, emails, it still chugs along just fine. But if you're planning on playing the latest demanding games or running super intensive apps, you might start to see some slowdowns. Those processors, while powerful for their time, are definitely showing their age, and let's be real, 28GB of base storage in 2025, that can feel pretty tight, especially with no micro SD card slot. Software is where things get a little more complicated. The S21 Ultra launched with Android 11 and has likely seen its last major update, probably sitting on Android 15 with One UI 7. Samsung has shifted it to quarterly security updates, which means the big new features are probably done. And honestly, some users have reported that newer versions of One UI can feel a little sluggish on this older hardware. Battery life in 2025 is a real mixed bag. After 4 years, that 5,000 mAh battery has definitely seen better days. Some of you might still be getting decent battery life, but others, especially after software updates, might be seeing it drain faster than you'd like. If you're thinking about picking one of these up used, definitely factor in the potential cost of a battery replacement. I remember even back when it was new, some people felt the battery life wasn't quite as stellar as they'd hoped, but the camera, oh man, the camera. This is still a beast. That 1008 megapixel main sensor, the ultra wide, and those two telephoto lenses with 3x and 10x optical zoom, it's still incredibly versatile. The 10x zoom in particular is just fantastic and still beats out a lot of newer mid-range phones. While newer flagships might have slightly better low-light performance and faster processing, the S21 Ultra's camera is still seriously capable. Of course, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Some users reported heating issues back in the day, especially with the Exynos version. You might still run into occasional software quirks, and those quarterly updates mean fixes might take a little longer. And yeah, that battery drain and lack of expandable storage are still potential downsides. So the big question, is the Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra 5G still worth it in 2025? Honestly, it's a tough call. If you can find one at a really compelling price on the used market, it still offers a lot of flagship features, especially that incredible camera, but you have to be realistic about the software updates and the potential need for a new battery. For those of you still rocking an S21 Ultra, whether you should keep it really depends on your needs. If it's still doing everything you need and the battery is holding up, then great. But if you're craving the latest features, longer software support, and better battery life, it might be time to consider an upgrade. My advice, the S21 Ultra in 2025 could actually make a fantastic companion phone. Maybe you want a dedicated camera for those zoom shots or a secondary device for certain tasks. At the right price, it's still a very capable piece of tech. But as your main daily driver in 2025, there are definitely newer options out there that offer a more well-rounded experience. All right, guys, that's my take on the Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra in 2025. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching. Peace out.